Okay, here is an example word problem where you are finding some unknown having to do with average or total amounts, and you would need to use a bar model. So let's read the problem. It says, for the past 4 math tests, Tessa scored an average of 78 points. She hopes to increase her average test score to 80 points. How many points must she get on the 5th test? Let me read that again. For the past 4 math tests, Tessa scored an average of 78 points. She hopes to increase her average test score to 80 points. How many points must she get on the 5th test? Okay, well, we really need to draw a model to help us figure out how to solve this problem. So obviously this has to do with math test grades, so we can just say math tests. And let's go ahead and draw a bar to represent all of this. Okay. All right, so how do we split it up? Well, it says she took 4 math tests, but then she's going to take a 5th test. And of course, the question is, what must she score on the 5th test? So let's go ahead and divide this into 5 units. Okay. And now let's go back to the problem and see what information we're given and add that to our bar model. For the past 4 math tests, Tessa scored an average of 78 points. How would we show that on our bar model? Well, we're going to obviously bracket the first 4 boxes there, but here's where you need to really be careful. It said she scored an average of 78 points for those 4 tests. So does that mean that you would bracket all of those and label it as 78? No. The average of 4 tests, that gives us a clue as to what the total amount of points were that she scored for those 4 tests. So you would label this as 78 times 4, right? Because they're 4 tests. They were, probably all each different point values, but when you added all 4 of those together and divided them by 4, you got an average of 78. So this information here is really giving us the total. It's giving us a clue to the total of those first 4 units. And the question is, before we get to the question, let's go to the next piece of information. She hopes to increase her average test score to 80 points after she takes this 5th test. So she's got 1 more test, and she wants to right now her grade is 78 overall, and she wants to bring it up to 80. So that would mean that with the 5th test, the average of all 5 of those would be 80, which again is giving us a clue as to the total point value for the 5 units. So the total point value would be 80 times 5 if she takes that 5th test. And the question then is, well, what does she have to make? What does she have to score? What does her grade have to be on this 5th test to make it so that now all 5 tests average to be a score of 80? So let's see, do we have all of our information plugged in? Yes, we do. So this model shows us here that we have the whole, we have the information we need to calculate the whole, and we have the information we need to calculate one of the parts. And we're asked for the other part. And we know that we can subtract the part from the whole to get the other part. So let's do that. So our first step would be, let's calculate all the total points, 80 times 5. Well, obviously that's 400 points that she need to have total for all 5 of the tests. All right, and then how many total points does she have for the first 4 tests? That's what we need to calculate next. So When you calculate that, you should get 312 points. That would be the 78 times 4. All right, so we have the whole, we have this part. All we have to do is subtract that to get the remaining 5th test score. So that'll be step B, will be 400 minus 312. And when you calculate that, you will see that 88 is your answer. She must score an 88 on that 5th test to bring her overall average up to an 80. So I should have written my sentence down there. Let's see. Tessa must score an 88 on the 5th math. Let's say it's a test on geometry. Geometry test. And that's your answer. So hopefully this is helpful to you, us working through a couple more of these little more challenging problems. I'm going to have you today complete all of the well, there's three word problems in your extra practice book. It's extra practice page 93. And I want to make sure, I don't have it at my fingertips here, but I want you to make sure that there's 3 problems on that page. And the last 2 problems on the page, you need to draw bar models for the last 2 problems. The first problem, as I recall on that page, it's not necessary to have a bar model, but for the last 2, you need to. So this should be good practice for you with these kind of more challenging concepts. You can feel free to email me or reach out if you have any other struggles, but complete extra practice, page 93. And we'll go from there tomorrow. Have a good day.